Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. Monday Night Raw tonight was from the Chase Center in San Francisco, and this was Monday Night Raw's go-home show for Crown Jewel, which is next Thursday. And oh my god, this show tonight, Monday Night Raw tonight, was a complete fucking shit show. This show was a disaster. This show was absolutely boring. It was a fucking chore to sit through. It was painfully fucking boring. This Queen's Crown tournament, we had two matches that were done. We saw the first two on SmackDown this past Friday. Two of the Queen's Crown tournament matches that we got tonight were completely fucking short. It was the same like how it was on SmackDown on Friday. This Queen's Crown tournament fucking sucks. I don't even care who fucking wins. Like I said, it could be Shayna Baszler. She wins, good. I wouldn't care because this whole tournament was complete fucking shit. And then we had the King of the Ring first round matches tonight on Monday Night Raw, where we saw Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. And then we saw Kofi Kingston versus Jinder Mahal. And my god, wait until I get to that match. Oh. But Monday Night Raw tonight, absolutely fucking terrible. Zero effort went into the show tonight. And this was one of the worst Monday Night Raws of the year. And yes, there have been bad Monday Night Raws this year. This one takes the cake. Like watching the show, like around like 9:15, 9:30, I felt like I was almost going to fall asleep to this show. That's how painfully boring and uninteresting the show was tonight. And the San Francisco crowd there made the show no better. They were so quiet that they were zombies, just sitting on their hands, not making any reaction to what was going on. Yeah, but anyways, let's get on with this review of this shit show tonight. Well, before I get into the review, if you guys haven't checked out my previous video that I uploaded earlier today, did a movie hunting video where I went to Nothing New thrift shop, a new thrift shop that I looked up online, went there, very nice little store out here on Staten Island. So checked out that. Also went to the Salvation Army, picked up some stuff from both stores. So definitely check out my movie hunting video if you guys haven't seen it yet. But anyways, let's get right on with the review. Monday Night Raw opened up tonight with Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre made his way out, of course carrying his sword, Angela. Had pyro go off. He went into the ring, got on the mic, and he ended up saying how he might not get to kick off Monday Night Raw too much more. Because, of course, now, Drew McIntyre got drafted to SmackDown. Next week, after Crown Jewel, the superstars that got drafted to SmackDown and Monday Night Raw goes into effect. So, he ended up talking about his Crown Jewel match with Big E. He was knowing that everyone will talk about the match, because this is where he will once again become the WWE Champion. Obviously not, because of course he got drafted to SmackDown. Big E is walking out of Crown Jewel, retaining the WWE Championship. So McIntyre ended up saying that he's waited months for this match, and this is his last chance at the WWE Championship before going to SmackDown. And he ended up saying he sure as hell won't let it slip through his fingers. So then Big E ended up coming out. Big E got on the mic. He ended up saying that he gets it. he understands why McIntyre wants to be the WWE Champion so badly again. He ended up saying that McIntyre is so accomplished, but he will never take the WWE Championship from him. He ended up saying that McIntyre has two options, as the train has already left the station. He ended up saying that he could jump aboard, or your big sword, well, an ass can stay on those tracks and get run over smoothly. So McIntyre then ended up firing back at Big E. He ended up saying that Big E is on cloud 9, as he should be, and that Big E is still chasing his moment. He ended up going on, he ended up saying that he is going to run through Big E to win back the WWE Championship. And there's not a damn thing Big E can do about it. And so then we had the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, come out. And I'm like, why are the Usos here? So the Usos end up saying that they are pumped for Drew McIntyre versus Big E. So both Jimmy and Jay discuss who might get the win at Crown Jewel. And McIntyre end up asking why the hell they're here. I said the same thing. Why were the Usos here? So the Usos end up saying that the Bloodline got drafted to SmackDown. But they are now in this city. And they end up saying that tonight they're sending out warning shots. So both the Usos end up going on about how Roman will retain the Universal Championship against Brock Lesnar at Crown Jewel. And they're trying to figure out who will be the WWE Champion. Would it be Big E or would it be Drew McIntyre? If you said Big E, that ding ding ding, you're right. Like I said, Big E is going to be still walking out of Crown Jewel as the WWE Champion. You think McIntyre is taking the WWE Championship to SmackDown? So we had the Usos warning Big E and McIntyre about getting in Roman's way. And that they have plans for Kofi and Xavier when they come to SmackDown. So Jimmy and Jay then end up going to leave. Big E ended up saying that they're not coming out. He was referring to Kofi and Xavier. And he ended up saying, oh, Jimmy and Jay are running their mouths and then just leave. So Big E ended up speaking on behalf of McIntyre. McIntyre ended up saying, no, I can't. So the Usos end up saying that they can speak on behalf of the tribal chief. So they end up proposing a tag team match later on in the night. McIntyre ended up saying that the Usos are on. So the Usos end up taking advantage of Big E and Drew McIntyre. They end up dropping both Big E and McIntyre with super kicks. And the Usos end up getting out of the ring. Big E and McIntyre end up staring at each other in the ring. And that was basically that. Overall, this was just very meh, in my opinion. So then we went to Kevin Patrick. Kevin Patrick was backstage with Kofi and Xavier, the New Day. And Kevin Patrick was asking the both of them about a possible King of the Ring match between the two of them. So they end up laughing. So then we had Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. This was the King of the Ring first round match. And this was a very good match. This was a very entertaining match. This was, in my opinion, the best match on the show tonight. So we had the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi end up coming out. Xavier Woods and Kofi end up stopping on stage. They were checking out the throne. And then they headed to the ring as Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, it was confirmed that the Usos versus Big E and Drew McIntyre will take place later on in the night, which was the main event. So Xavier Woods was waiting in the ring as Ricochet ended up making his way out. So Ricochet then ended up making his way out. He was looking at the throne and the King of the Ring set up on the stage. We then end up seeing a pre-recorded promo from Ricochet. Ricochet was talking about how winning the tournament would launch his career into the stratosphere. And if he wins the King of the Ring, he plans on having a new name, King Ricochet, and a new crown when he heads to SmackDown. So that was what Ricochet had to say. But did Ricochet win this match right here? I'll get to that. But the match ended up starting. Both Xavier and Ricochet end up blocking up. Ricochet end up going behind, but Xavier Woods end up shaking Ricochet off. Ricochet was working on Xavier Woods' arm. So Xavier Woods ended up taking Ricochet down for a quick pin attempt. Woods ended up grounding Ricochet by his arm. Ricochet then ended up nailing a drop kick on Xavier Woods. Went for the cover. Woods ended up kicking out. Ricochet was delivering some kicks on Xavier Woods. So there was a point where Xavier Woods ended up going up to the top. Ricochet ended up chopping him from the apron. Ricochet then ended up climbing up to the top, and he was going for a superplex, but Xavier Woods ended up knocking him down to the apron. Ricochet then ended up springboarding back up to the top, and he nailed the superplex to Xavier Woods in the middle of the ring. A nice looking superplex from the top. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, Ricochet was in control of the match. He ended up taking Woods down for a 2 count. So Ricochet ended up doing a takedown and a drop kick to Xavier Woods. He ended up going for another pin attempt. Ricochet was frustrated here. He had that frustrated look on his face. Xavier Woods ended up blocking a suplex from Ricochet. And Xavier Woods ended up dropping Ricochet rib first over the top rope. Xavier Woods ended up leaping from the middle rope and delivered a stomp over Ricochet's spine. Xavier Woods ended up flying from the corner and delivered a second rope leg drop. Went for the cover. Ricochet ended up kicking out at 2. So we had Xavier Woods end up getting up. Ricochet ended up dropping him with a kick to the head. Ricochet then ended up rolling into a cartwheel senton. He ended up kicking Xavier Woods in the face. Xavier Woods then headed out to the floor to take a breather. Ricochet ran the ropes. He ended up leaping out, taking Woods down on the floor. Ricochet then ended up coming back to the ring, nailed a suicide dive, which sent Xavier Woods into the barricade. And Ricochet ended up going for another suicide dive. Xavier Woods sidestepped out of the way, and Ricochet ended up going into the barricade. Xavier Woods ended up bringing Ricochet back into the ring. Xavier Woods went to the top. He walked the top rope, and he nailed the flying elbow drop onto Ricochet. He ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Xavier Woods ended up winning the match. Overall, very good match, very entertaining match. This was the only best match of the night, in my opinion. And I knew that Xavier Woods was going to get the win, even though I would have loved if Ricochet won this match and advanced to the semifinals. It would have benefited Ricochet if he won the tournament, considering he's been on a losing streak on Monday Night Raw. Now that he's drafted to SmackDown, imagine if he won the tournament. It would do good for Ricochet. But no, WWE doesn't see anything in him. But sucks that Ricochet lost. But Xavier Woods, he's always wanted a spot to be the King of the Ring. And he got his luck in this match. But overall, very good match. So then we saw Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. They were backstage, RK Bro. Matt Riddle informed Randy Orton that someone just challenged Omas. Orton ended up asking Matt Riddle what he did now. Matt Riddle ended up saying that after Randy Orton's plan went so well last week, he had to do the same since he's a baby viper. So Matt Riddle ended up asking about a plan for Crown Jewel. Randy Orton ended up saying to Matt Riddle that there is no plan, and that last week was a one-time thing, and that Matt Riddle never should have challenged Omas. So Orton ended up saying that Matt Riddle is on his own. Matt Riddle, of course, wasn't buying that with what Orton said. So Matt Riddle ended up saying that he will see Orton out there later. So that was that. So we had Matt Riddle versus Omas. Once again. We all know how that match was going to go. Then we had Mansoor and Mustafa Ali versus Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin. This was a quick match. We had Mansoor and Mustafa Ali end up coming out. And Monday Night Raw went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin were already out there. So we had Cedric Alexander end up watching from the apron. Mustafa Ali end up nailing Shelton Benjamin with a corner drop kick. And Shelton ended up fighting back. He ended up taking Mustafa Ali to the corner. Cedric ended up coming in. And then Mansoor ended up tagging in. Mansoor delivered a inverted atomic drop to Cedric. Started delivering some strikes. Then delivered a clothesline. And Mustafa Ali ended up tagging in. Him and Mansoor ended up doing a double team stomp onto Cedric Alexander. Mustafa Ali then drop kicked Shelton Benjamin off the apron. Mansoor then ended up taking Shelton out to the floor. So at the end of the match, Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander were going at it. Mustafa Ali ended up missing off the top. Cedric ended up nailing a Michinoku driver to Mustafa Ali. And Shelton Benjamin ended up stooping Mansoor from running back to the ring. So there you go. Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander ended up winning the match. Post-match, Mansoor ended up checking on Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali ended up shoving him away. He was furious at Mansoor. So Mansoor was shocked as Mustafa Ali ended up walking to the back. And that was that. But overall, this was a quick match. And then we had Shayna Baszler versus Dana Brooke. First round match in the Queen's Crown tournament. A rematch between these two. Didn't we see them go at it before? Yes, we did. Nothing new happened in this match. Shayna Baszler came out first, and then Dana Brooke was already in the ring as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial. The match started off with Dana Brooke, ended up charging at Shayna Baszler. She ended up fighting at Shayna Baszler, but Baszler started unloading in the corner on Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke ended up going for a handspring back elbow to Shayna Baszler, but she ended up landing in the Careful clutch. Baszler ended up trying to put Dana Brooke away, and she ended up getting out of the Careful clutch. So it was back and forth between these two. So Dana Brooke ended up rolling out of the ankle lock. Baszler ended up coming back. She ended up leveling Dana Brooke with a kick. She got the pin. And there you go. Shayna Baszler ended up winning the match. This match only lasted a minute, to say the least. So Shayna Baszler ended up winning the match. So we saw the Queen's Crown brackets. So it would be Doudrop versus Natalya later on in the night. So Shayna Baszler was briefly attacking Dana Brooke while she was sitting on the apron. Dana Brooke ended up getting away. She ended up yelling back at Shayna Baszler. And that was that. Awful. Awful match. Easy win for Shayna Baszler. I mean, we all knew that Baszler was going to get the win either way. I mean, come on. She's fighting Dana Brooke. Dana Brooke is awful. And then we went to Charlotte Flair backstage. And then I heard all the remotes being picked up, muting the TV, changes the channel. Charlotte ended up saying that she doesn't care about anything related to Queen's Crown. And she doesn't care about Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, or Bianca Belair. Because she is already the Raw Women's Champion. And she's on top. And everyone else is beneath her. She ended up saying that she hopes Sasha Banks wins the title at Crown Jewel. So she can slap that stupid look off her face. And then beat her for the title. Then merge the titles together. So that was basically what Charlotte had to say. So with her saying, oh, merge the titles. Yeah, we only need one women's championship in WWE. We don't need a Raw, a SmackDown women's championship. Hell, I can say that for the tag team division. Why do we need two titles on two shows? Why do we need a Raw tag team championship? Why do we need a SmackDown tag team championship? That's another thing that WWE should do. Merge the titles and only have one title for the woman and for the tag team. I don't understand why we need to have two titles for both shows, for Raw and SmackDown. And then we had Matt Riddle versus Omas. This was a squash match. We've seen this before. So Matt Riddle ended up coming out along on a scooter. He hopped into the ring, kicked his flip-flops off, had the stupid CGI birds flying. Like, what? I don't understand why we need to see the CGI birds fly. I still don't get it. So then Monday Night Raw went to commercial. So then as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, AJ Styles and Omos ended up coming out. So Matt Riddle ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying, okay, Randy, now. So Randy Orton, didn't come out. Matt Riddle ended up saying that Randy Orton probably is busy or waiting for the secret code word. And this was just cringe, this whole thing with Matt Riddle in the ring. And then Styles ended up getting on the mic. He ended up telling the referee, this is ridiculous. So Matt Riddle was just stalling. So Styles ended up telling the referee to ring the bell so he could go ahead and see Matt Riddle get his head knocked off. So then Matt Riddle was chanting for Randy Orton, and the crowd was cheering for Orton to come out. This whole thing was cringe with Matt Riddle in the ring. I mean, I like him and Randy Orton together as RK Bro. They're the best thing on Monday Night Raw. But whoever wrote this for Matt Riddle tonight, I don't understand. Why would you write this for Matt Riddle? It came off absolutely cringe. So then, the match ended up starting. Matt Riddle was sent into Styles. Riddle started unloading with some kicks to Styles at ringside. Omos ended up pulling Matt Riddle back into the ring. He went to work on him. Omos delivered a run and splash into the corner. Then delivered a choke slam to Matt Riddle. Omos then put his foot on top of Matt Riddle to pin him. But Styles was like, Omos, no. Not yet. Let's kick the crap out of Matt Riddle some more. So Styles on the mic, he ended up bringing up how Omos took karate as a kid. Yeah, like I'm supposed to believe Omos took karate. Us viewers are supposed to believe that Omos took karate. So Styles ended up wanting to see Omos do a roundhouse kick. So Omos then delivered a roundhouse kick to Matt Riddle, which that roundhouse kick looked fucking awful. So fans are chanting for Orton. Styles end up telling the fans to shut up. So Styles end up calling for Omas to do the old choke bomb. And Omas delivered the choke bomb to Matt Riddle in the middle of the ring. And then he went for the pin. And they go, Omas end up winning the match. Post-match, Styles end up coming into the ring. He was getting ready to hit the Styles Clash onto Matt Riddle. But Randy Orton's music ended up coming on. So Orton ended up going out. And Omos and Styles were looking around, trying to pinpoint where Orton was going to come from, whether it be from the stage, whether it be from the back of the crowd. So Orton ended up sliding into the ring. He ended up delivering the RKO to Styles out of nowhere. And Orton ended up getting out of the ring as Omos ended up trying to go after him. So Orton and Matt Riddle ended up heading up to the ramp. Omos and Styles were seething in the ring. And that was that. But we've seen Omos and Matt Riddle go at it before. Omos is fucking terrible. So, overall, awful match. Yeah, this is Monday Night Raw tonight. See all the effort they put into the show tonight? Yeah, zero effort. Zero. Zero. This is an entertaining show tonight. So then we had Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre ended up approaching Big E backstage. He ended up asking about what happened between them earlier. Big E ended up saying that they can beat the hell out of each other at Crown Jewel, and that they need to be on the same page tonight, or it'll be a long night. And why I did that quote, same page, you already know what it's going to lead to. This is typical WWE. So, you know when they say, oh, they need to be on the same page, you know things are going to get out of control between them. So, both Big E and Drew McIntyre end up agreeing to let bygones be bygones for tonight. So, they end up hesitating to shake hands, which came off cringe. They're like, ugh. That's what they were like. And they end up walking away from each other, laughing, and that was that. Oh man, them trying to hesitate to shake hands just came off as cringe. Like, yeah, that's what they were doing. That's what both Big E and Drew McIntyre were doing. So now we had the almighty Bobby Lashley. He ended up coming out, and Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And then when Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Bobby Lashley was in the ring because he had something to say for the No Holds Barred match at Crown Jewel, where he's going to be facing Goldberg. So Lashley ended up saying that people are asking why he made this challenge for a No Holds Barred match at Crown Jewel. Lashley then ended up bringing up how Goldberg threatened his life last week. He ended up going on about how he's a better superstar than Goldberg, who came in here last week wearing cut-off sleeves and yelling about murder, saying about, how he's going to kill Bobby Lashley. So Bobby Lashley was like, really classy. Lashley ended up saying that he can't go into a match with a man screaming and foaming at the mouth. He wanted to say that the icon of Goldberg has been reduced to a rabid dog, one that needs to be put down. Lashley wanted to say that at Crown Jewel he will finally end Goldberg's career. I'm saying no longer will Goldberg ride in here and try to end someone's career, then ride off into the sunset. Lashley wanted to say that there will be no misunderstandings because Goldberg can beat the Almighty. Goldberg can hurt the Almighty. And Goldberg, damn sure, can kill the Almighty. So Lashley then ended up dropping the mic, and he walked out of the ring. And that was what Bobby Lashley had to say. But overall, little hype for their match at Crown Jewel. Which Crown Jewel, I gotta say, the card looks good on paper. But let's see how WWE does with the show. Like I said, it looks good on paper. Let's see if WWE can deliver a somewhat decent show in Crown Jewel. My prediction, probably not. So then we got Sasha Banks backstage. Sasha was talking about the tag team match tonight. She ended up telling Bianca Belair to just follow her lead. She ended up saying that she will capture the SmackDown Women's Championship at Crown Jewel. So, pretty much, that was basically what Sasha had to say. And then we had Jeff Hardy versus Austin Theory. Last week, Austin Theory made his Monday Night Raw re-debut after he got drafted, and he ended up attacking Jeff Hardy. We saw how he took out Jeff Hardy last week. So Jeff Hardy was in the ring first, and then Austin Theory made his way out. And this match was awful, god-awful. So Jeff Hardy ended up ducking a clothesline from Austin Theory. Jeff Hardy ended up taking Austin Theory face first into turnbuckles. And Austin Theory ended up fighting back. He dodged a twist of fate from Jeff Hardy. Austin Theory ended up launching himself into a dropkick from Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy went for the cover. Theory ended up kicking out too. So Austin Theory ended up keeping Jeff Hardy grounded. He was working on Jeff Hardy's arm. And then what do we get here? We had the circus. And by the circus, I mean this. Let me pull it up here. Yeah, we had Reggie. Yeah, we had Reggie. And the whole circus of 24/7 guys chasing him around the ring. Of course, Reggie doing flips in the ring, going. Yeah, that's Reggie. That's Reginald. Whenever he's running out with the 24/7 title. So Akira Tozawa, Drew Gulak, Drake Maverick were chasing him into the ring, back out, and then they went into the crowd. R-Truth had a face-off with Austin Theory. It led to Jeff Hardy taking advantage of the match. He ended up attacking Austin Theory. Truth ended up running after the circus of 24/7 guys, chasing after Reginald or Reggie. Awful. Absolutely awful. Jeff Hardy ended up dropping Austin Theory with the twist of fate. Jeff Hardy went to the top trying to go for the swanton. Austin Theory moved out of the way. Jeff Hardy ended up landing hard in the middle of the ring. Austin Theory ended up rolling up Jeff Hardy. He had a handful of tights. And there you go. Austin Theory ended up winning the match. Post-match, Austin Theory was taunting Jeff Hardy, standing tall from the entrance as Jeff Hardy ended up looking on at Austin Theory. And that was that. But this was awful. This was Austin Theory's re-debut match on Monday Night Raw, and it got overshadowed by the garbage 24/7 title, with Reginald run out there along with the circus of guys chasing after him. Please, can we just retire this fucking title, this 24/7 title shit? Please? It's not funny anymore. Gets more and more awful every time it's on fucking TV. Well, it's good. It's good for me because I can still keep on doing the Woody Woodpecker laugh. When I talk about the 24/7 title with Reginald doing the flips and shit to get away from these guys. Just awful. So then we had Bianca backstage. She was saying how she will win the title at Crown Jewel. ended up mentioning Sasha, Becky Lynch, and Charlotte. So that was that. Oh. And then we get to this match. Jinder Mahal versus Kofi Kingston, first round match in the King of the Ring tournament. Jinder Mahal ended up coming out first, along with Veer and Shanky. And as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, we had Kevin Patrick backstage with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Kevin Patrick was trying to get both Xavier Woods and Kofi to answer his question from earlier in the night on how we could see a possible match against Xavier Woods and Kofi next week. And so both Xavier and Kofi end up responding to Kevin Patrick, and they were doing, woo, 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 woo. So Kofi ended up heading out to the ring, and Xavier Woods ended up following him. So New Day came out, and Jinder ended up going behind. He ended up slamming Kofi, and both Jinder and Kofi ended up blocking up. Jinder ended up taking Kofi down with a headlock. They both ran the ropes. Jinder ended up dropping Kofi with a shoulder, and they ran the ropes again. Jinder ended up dodging a hip attack. He ended up dropping Kofi with a shoulder. Jinder then ended up taking Kofi from corner to corner, started unloading with some right hands and kicks to Kofi. Kofi then got in some offense. He ended up going to hit a Hurricanrana, which he ended up sending Jinder out to the floor. So Kofi ended up kneeing Jinder in the face from the apron. Kofi climbed up to the top, and he ended up leaping back with a falling splash onto Jinder Mahal. Veer and Shanky end up running over to check on Jinder as Xavier Woods was taunting them. So Monday Night Raw then went to commercial. Then when Monday Night Raw came back, we had Jinder in control of the match, and we had Kofi end up fighting out of a abdominal stretch. Jinder ended up getting to his feet first, and they started going at it. Kofi kept control of the match. He ended up hitting the corner crossbody for a close 2 count. So we had Veer and Shanky later on. They both distracted Kofi from the floor. Xavier Woods ended up running over. He ended up leaping off the ring steps, taking Shanky off of his feet. Veer ended up coming back and leveled Xavier Woods with a clothesline in front of the commentary table. Kofi ended up seeing what happened. He ended up running over to make the save with a drop kick. So Jinder ended up taking advantage of the distraction. He ended up backsliding Kofi for a close 2 count. So Kofi ended up going up to the top. He ended up flying from the top. Jinder ended up catching him, and he nailed the Colossus. And he went for the cover. And there you go. Jinder Mahal ended up winning the match. So Veer and Shanky end up coming into the ring to celebrate with Jinder. So now it's going to be Jinder versus Xavier Woods next week in the semifinals. The winner will face the winner of Baszler and Sami Zayn in the finals at Crown Jewel. Jinder Mahal ended up sitting on the throne with the crown and scepter on. That crown was so small on Jinder's head. And seeing that and Jinder win the match, I am really worried and really scared that WWE might make Jinder Mahal win this whole tournament. If WWE makes Jinder Mahal win the tournament, then this whole tournament to me was a waste of fucking time. It's not going to benefit anything for Jinder Mahal. Nobody wants to see Jinder win the tournament. God, help us if WWE goes in that direction and they make Jinder Mahal win the tournament. God help us if that happens. But overall, Jinder Mahal mostly carried through the match with Kofi. But still, the match was just, in my opinion. And then we had Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch was backstage. She ended up taking shots at the participants in the tag team match. She ended up going on about how she will lead her team to victory and retain her title at Crown Jewel. She ends up saying that she's been champion because she stays 5 steps ahead. She ends up saying that Sasha runs away every time she loses. And teaming with Charlotte is about as appealing as the smell of piss in a downtown alley. So that was what Becky had to say. And then we had Bianca Belair end up coming out. We had the Sasha, Bianca versus Becky and Charlotte tag team match. So Bianca ended up coming out. Her and Sasha Banks end up arguing. Charlotte was out first. And then Becky Lynch ended up coming out. Becky and Bianca end up looking to start. Sasha and Bianca Belair end up going at it over who will start. Bianca ended up sending Sasha into the corner, started yelling at her. Becky attacked Bianca from behind, so they went at it. Becky ended up getting sent into Charlotte, knocking her off the apron. So all 4 of these superstars were brawling in the middle of the ring. So the referee was trying to get control of them. A second referee ended up rushing down to try and restore order. Becky ended up beating down Bianca in the corner while Charlotte was working on Sasha in the other corner. So we had Sasha end up turning around on Charlotte. Charlotte ended up turning right back around, tossed Sasha Banks out to the floor. So we just had a brawl between all 4 of these women. And I'm like, this was a complete waste of time. So Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville end up coming out. They end up saying, oh, this is not going to happen this way. So they end up ordering all 4 of the women to get back into the ring and for the match to restart. Because they had the chance to show the world what they're made of. And it's not going to end like this. So then the brawl continues between Becky and Charlotte. And also in the ring between Sasha and Bianca. So officials were continuing to try and restore order. And so Monday Night Raw went to commercial. And I'm like, they should have just made this a fatal 4-way. Which, that would have been the best way, but they didn't even do it. So as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Charlotte and Sasha end up going at it. Charlotte ended up dropping Sasha, and Sasha ended up blocking the figure 4 from Charlotte. She ended up rolling up Charlotte for a 2 count. Sasha delivered a Hurricanrana, but it got blocked. So Sasha ended up kicking Charlotte in the face. Charlotte came back, delivered a backbreaker, and slammed Sasha into the mat. Charlotte kept Sasha down, started working her over. So Becky ended up coming in. Sasha ended up taking control. She ended up covering Becky for a 2 count. Sasha then ended up hitting Becky and ended up taking her into the corner. She tagged in Bianca. Bianca was working on Becky's arm. And both her and Sasha were just working on Becky's arm. They were making quick tags. So, in the end, the match ended in a no contest because we had Becky end up attacking Sasha, started unloading, but Sasha ended up rocking her with a knee. Bianca Belair got involved. She ended up rocking Sasha, sent Sasha face first into the turnbuckles. So, that was that. And then we had Becky ended up coming over, delivered a Bexploder, suplex to Bianca. Becky ended up going for the armbar on Bianca. And Bianca ended up overpowering, and she ended up going for the KOD. Sasha ended up hanging on to the top rope. And we had Sasha ended up delivering a backstabber to Bianca. Sasha and Becky ended up going at it. Becky blocked the backstabber. She ended up kicking Sasha in the face. Becky then delivered the manhandle slam to Sasha in the middle of the ring. And Becky ended up standing tall in the ring. And that was that. But this whole match was a complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. So then we had the Usos backstage. They were on the phone with Roman. And the Usos were telling him not to worry because they are the one. So, looks like Roman ended up telling his cousins to complete this mission. Beat Biggie and Drew McIntyre. So, that was that. Then we went to Doudrop versus Natalya. First round match in the Queen's Crown tournament. This match was boring. So we had Doudrop end up coming out first. Of course, the winner of this match will face Shayna Baszler next week. So we had Natalya end up coming out. And Doudrop end up having a pre-recorded promo talking about how she would win the Queen's Crown tournament and become royalty. Yeah, okay. So the match ended up started. Doudrop was dancing. Natalya ended up yelling at her, ended up slapping her in the face. Both of them lock up. Natalya started unloading in the corner on Doudrop. Natalya was delivering some right hands in the corner to Doudrop. She ended up ripping one of the flowers from Doudrop's hair. Doudrop ended up dropping Natalya, and Natalya ended up coming back, delivering a slap to Doudrop. So Doudrop ended up dropping on Natalya. She ended up missing the splash as Natalya ended up moving. So Natalya ended up stopping the back of Doudrop's head, ended up nailing the drop kick. She went for the cover. Doudrop kicked out at 2. So Natalya delivered a forearm and the abdominal stretch in the middle of the ring to Doudrop. Shayna Baszler was watching the match from backstage. Doudrop ended up fighting back. She ended up getting out of the abdominal stretch. She ended up dropping Natalya in the corner. And at the end of the match, Natalya was trying to go for the sharpshooter, but Doudrop ended up fighting out of it, and she ended up rolling up Natalya. So there you go. Doudrop ended up winning the match. So that was that. Overall, awful match. So now next week it's going to be Shayna Baszler versus Doudrop. So Shayna Baszler is winning the match next week. And then we see John Morrison. John Morrison was meditating in the back. And Nikki ASH and Rhea Ripley end up walking up to John Morrison. They were like to Morrison, "What are you doing?" So Morrison was telling them that he is tapping into his inner chi. So Nikki ended up saying that everyone should follow their dreams. So Rhea Ripley ended up asking Nikki if she knows what John Morrison was talking about. And Nikki didn't even know what Morrison was talking about. So they ended up looking back, and Morrison was still meditating. John Morrison might as well should have had Jinder Mahal there. So Jinder Mahal could go, "Oh, just, think to yourself, close your eyes, and say the word that I'm about to say. Shanti. Shanti." Yeah, remember when Jinder Mahal used to do that? He used to meditate and he used to go, "Shanti." Along with the Bollywood boys, or the Bollywood brothers, when they were known as the Singh brothers. Yeah, remember when Jinder Mahal used to do that? That was fucking awful. John Morrison should have had Jinder Mahal by his side. And then Jinder Mahal should have said to John Morrison, "Let's do this. Shanti." Or shitty. So that's why I would have pictured Jinder Mahal there along with John Morrison while he was meditating. So then we saw Biggie. He was warming up backstage. Austin Theory ended up coming out of nowhere. Ends up taking a selfie with Biggie going. And that was basically that. So then we had Kevin Patrick backstage. Kevin Patrick ended up approaching Mansoor for what happened earlier between him and Mustafa Ali. So Mustafa Ali ended up interrupting. He ended up saying that Mansoor is nothing more than a giant waste of time. He wants to say that he's tried helping Mansoor survive this place. And he just goes out and makes friends. And is nothing more than a fanboy. So Mustafa Ali ended up hushing Mansoor. He ended up saying that he's trying to be Mansoor's lifeline, because without him, he will get eaten up here. Mustafa Ali ended up saying that he should have said this to Mansoor when he first met him. You're a loser. You're worthless. You're nothing. So Mustafa Ali ended up walking off. Kevin Patrick ended up saying, that must have been hard to hear. So Mansoor ended up saying that he will try to talk to Mustafa Ali later. And then all of a sudden, Mustafa Ali ended up attacking Mansoor. He ended up destroying Mansoor. He was yelling at him. Mustafa Ali ended up walking off. And Mansoor was just laying there. So officials had to come over, and they ended up calling for the paramedics to tend to Mansoor. And that was that. But WWE breaking up another tag team. And this is only because they want to have Mansoor for Crown Jewel. So that's going to be the match at Crown Jewel. It's going to be Mustafa Ali versus Mansoor. That's the only reason why WWE broke them up. So that Mansoor could have a match at Crown Jewel. Main event. The Usos versus Big E and Drew McIntyre. And we had Drew McIntyre end up making his way out. Big E then joined him out there. Last but not least, the Usos end up coming out. So, as Monday Night Raw came back from the commercial, Big E ended up locking up with Jimmy. He ended up slamming Jimmy to the mat, face first. Big E ended up working Jimmy over. He ended up taking in McIntyre, who was stomping away in the corner. Big E ended up coming right back in, and they just started stomping away at Jimmy. McIntyre ended up taking right back in, started delivering some more stomps. Big E then ended up tagging in, started doing the same. Another tag to McIntyre. And then Big E ended up whipping a big Claymore kick from McIntyre into Jimmy in the corner. So McIntyre was grounding Jimmy. Jimmy ended up shoving McIntyre back into the corner. And Jay ended up coming in for a quick double team. Jay ended up getting kicked out of the air by McIntyre. So McIntyre delivered a vertical suplex to Jay. Went for the cover, which Jay ended up kicking out too. Big E ended up coming back into the ring. Applied an abdominal stretch to Jay in the middle of the ring. They ran the ropes. Jimmy ended up kicking Big E from the apron. So the Usos ended up double teaming on Big E. They ended up making tags. They were keeping Big E down in their corner as McIntyre ended up looking on. So at the end of the match, the Usos end up winning the match by count out. So we had Big E delivered a Uranagi. McIntyre ended up pulling Big E out of the ring out to the floor. And Big E ended up saying that it was an accident. So him and McIntyre were arguing at ringside. Big E ended up shoving McIntyre. McIntyre ended up shoving him back. So they were brawling at ringside. Big E ended up blocking a shot into the ring steps. He then ended up sending McIntyre face first into the steel. And they kept fighting. And that's when the referee ended up calling for the bell. So the Usos ended up winning by count out. So McIntyre and Big E were brawling at ringside still. The Usos end up running the ring. They end up flying out to the floor, taking Big E and McIntyre down. They end up launching Big E over the announce table. And after they did that, they end up launching McIntyre into the barricade. So they were continuing to punish Big E and Drew McIntyre. Big E then got back up. He delivered a big belly-to-belly to Jay. He then shoved Jimmy into McIntyre, who hit him with an overhead suplex on the floor. Big E and McIntyre end up meeting in the ring again, brawling with each other. McIntyre end up avoiding the big ending, and McIntyre end up dropping Big E with the Claymore. McIntyre end up standing tall over Big E, and McIntyre looked like he was bleeding from his forehead. So that was how Monday Night Raw went off the air. Overall, complete waste of time this match was. Absolute complete waste of time. Why have the match when you know Big E and McIntyre are going to go at it in the end and have a brawl. This match did not make any sense whatsoever. And this whole show, this whole Monday Night Raw tonight, absolutely fucking boring, absolutely painful to sit through. I gotta say, the only other good thing that happened on Monday Night Raw tonight, aside from Ricochet versus Xavier Woods, was the Chucky promo, where Chucky the doll was watching Monday Night Raw. He was commenting on what he was watching. That was another one of the best things on the show tonight, aside from Xavier Woods versus Ricochet. And I am excited to see the Chucky series, which debuts tomorrow night. Hopefully it's a good show, and looking forward to it. Hell, the Chucky series, the Chucky pilot episode tomorrow, that might be a whole lot better than Monday Night Raw, than what we saw tonight, than the show that we got tonight. Just Monday Night Raw tonight, absolutely fucking terrible. God awful show. One of the worst Monday Night Raws of the year. Absolutely painful to sit through. And this show didn't even feel like I was watching the show for 3 hours tonight. It felt more like 4. Just the show dragged tonight. It was a chore to sit through. But anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. Be sure to check out my movie hunting video if you guys haven't seen it earlier today on the channel. So, until then, I'll see you all later.